What's good, Bolt fam? It's your boy, Booga Peters. I'm your host of BoltBlitz Uncut, joined by our new, and one of the hosts, always be the most excited to ever be a part of anything I'm doing, one of our new hosts here, John Kegley. You saw him during that epic 7-hour stream during the conference championship games. We're talking best and worst Chargers draft classes of all time. Herbert McDaniel, now that Herbert has an offensive coordinator like Mike McDaniel, how many excuses will he have left should he not find a way to win a game in the playoffs? And then John and I will talk briefly about our Super Bowl predictions. John Kegley, thank you so much for joining us. How excited are you to talk draft classes with me?
It's always fun to talk football, especially when I get to show you up, because I bet you I have a worse draft class than you.
And listen, so one of the things I want to point this out to anybody who's listening for the first time, Kegley and I definitely like to go at each other. One of the things that he even admitted during the pre-show is that he's been trying to set me up to get me. So we're going to find out if he's capable of doing that. And I've got a little background ammunition that I'm ready to fire back that I did not supply during the pre-show. Let me tell you something right now.
So is that
honor and a privilege for me to have John as a co-host on this show. You'll be able to catch him every Thursday from about this time. We're going to flirt around with how it works because of his military and familial obligations. Those things will always come first, especially when it comes to BoltBlitz Uncut. But that being said, every show that he's here, we are better for it. Let's go ahead and start with actually the Justin Herbert now having Mike McDaniel as his offensive coordinator. They went through Greg Roman, and then they went through Joe Lombardi and Kellen Moore and all these different names, and then all the different offensive coordinators that Justin Herbert had during his college career. Now that Herbert has an offensive coordinator, which all of us, like most of us anyway, like to assume that we handpicked for the team. Now that he has a guy like McDaniel, should they fortify the interior offensive line with a healthy Alton Slater? Should it be the case that if Herbert is not able, as his portion of the team, to win a playoff game this year, is he out of excuses, or are all these fans out of their minds?
Well, it really depends on how it happens. You got to look at game film and situations. So, like, how many playoff games did Drew Brees win with the Chargers? Booga, can you tell me?
It was 0.
Yeah, but he could have had one, right? And who lost it for him?
Oh, don't you do that to me. I'm too old.
Vacating.
Yeah. Oh, so Kate, yeah.
Vacating missed the field goal against the Jets. That would have been a hit, at least his one win. And
God, I forgot he was there then. Yeah.
And if something like that was to happen with Herbert, like what if the punter keeps dropping the ball or something? You know, like your return guy muffs a punt. Like, you got to see why they lose, first of all. If they're losing because of Herbert, then yeah, there's no excuses. But Charger fans tend to not look at that kind of stuff. Phillip Rivers, towards the end of his career at the Chargers, would throw passes on the dot to no-name receivers. It would go through the hands, bounce up into another DB's hands, interception, and everyone was blaming Rivers. And it's like, did you not see how good that pass was? The dude dropped it. It went into somebody else's hands. You have to see what Herbert goes through first. But his excuses right now are, the only one I would give him for this year only is it's a new offensive coordinator. Rivers keeps changing head coaches and offensive coordinators all through Oregon and in the NFL. So that's the one thing I would give. But if I see major improvement, then I'm going to go second year with McDaniels. No excuse, right? But if you get the offensive line, decent receiver, doesn't have to have great receiver. We saw what he could do with decent receivers with no O-line. Imagine if he had an O-line. And then
imagine if you had a great running game that was healthy. Hold on, I want to back you up here a bit. You really brought up a great point, and I don't want to just scoot past it. It's kind of Herbert gets the Phillip Rivers treatment too. Everybody talks about that Houston Texans game, and it's 4 picks. He threw 4 picks. Motherfucker, 2 of them went off the hands of receivers. Now the one he threw across his body from one hash to the other sideline, it was dumb as shit. He tried to make something happen. If you've never played football before and you've never been behind a line of scrimmage, or you're not familiar with that type of pressure, you're not going to understand why he was just like, I'm not being protected. This has been a horrible game. I have to make something happen. Herbert has been forced into hero ball so many times that people forget that it's not his fault that that's the position that he's in. That being said, of those 4 picks, 1 for sure was his fault. But the 2 of the 4, it's not disputable. Literally, Disley and Ladd let them carry them off of their hands, and they were picked. It's pretty fucking simple. Rivers got the same thing, and I'm so glad that you brought it up, because it was always, well, Still's not mobile and he's throwing these picks. And it's isn't like, come on, man. The guy doesn't give a fuck about interceptions when the game's on the line. He's trying to throw somebody open. He's trying to make something happen. It's weird to me that for whatever reason, Chargers quarterbacks haven't been afforded that since Dan Fouts. And by the way, for you young cats who don't know enough about Dan Fouts, but you know that he's in the Hall of Fame, no Charger quarterback has ever thrown more interceptions than Dan Fouts. He also has the worst touchdown to interception ratio of all time for the Chargers. And that's over 500 passes, by the way, I believe. So as much love as the old heads like to tell me, the older heads, even older than me, like to brag about Dan Fouts, I'm just not in that same camp. Here's what I'll say. I don't think that this team can do what they did last season and ignore the interior offensive line. Bradley Bozeman, Mekhi Becton, pack your bags. They should indeed be gone. Zion Johnson, his position, I believe, is up in the air. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option, but he is somebody that the team likes clearly, and he's somebody that Joe Ortiz, the general manager, mentioned he is someone that they would like to have back. That being said, for those of you who are not paying attention at home, this is Jim Harbaugh's team, and he's as much a GM as Joe Ortiz is. I don't believe that the play on the field on behalf of Justin Herbert will ever warrant him running out of excuses because of the fact that it's up to the Chargers and Harbaugh and Ortiz to surround him with the proper protection up front, and then a solidification of some weapons on the outside and, of course, in the slot, and maybe a tight end that can block a little bit wouldn't suck. Let's get to the fun part of this shit. Basically, what I'm saying right here is it should Rivers not win a playoff game with McDaniel this season, I don't think it's the end of the world. So
Rivers is playing with McDaniels now, Booga?
I meant to say Herbert. Come on, I'm old. Forgive me, and the beers are setting in. But I will say this. I will finally start to evaluate him a little bit differently should he not win a playoff game this season. Regardless of, and it's not fair, but regardless of what happens in front of him, because there's so much impetus put on starting quarterbacks in today's NFL to go out and win games. You've got to make the players around you better. That being said, a guy of his athletic ability with a howitzer of an arm, at some point you really have to say, despite what he's being let down by around him, he's got to find a way to overcome it, even if it's his 12th offensive coordinator in 13 years. At the end of this season, we're going to be having a different conversation about Justin Herbert, one way or the other. But nobody's tuned in for that because we've all been talking about that. Best and worst Chargers draft classes. I will let you, because you want to come at me a little bit here. So I will let you determine who says their best first and their worst first. And if you want to pick me for both, I'll start with both. And then you can go ahead and can me when I'm done.
You can go ahead and go first for the worst, and then I'll go first for the best. Because all I'm gonna do for my best is just give you some historical data, and I'm gonna let you brag on.
I love it so much. I've got all of the draft classes pulled up for those of you who are paying attention at home. So if anybody has any questions, I got you taken care of. I'm going to start with my least favorite and what I believe is the worst. And there's one player on here. In fact, there are two Pro Bowlers, which is really going to piss the people off. But it's the 2003 Chargers draft class where they traded back to acquire more picks with then GM Bobby Beathard, former Super Bowl winning GM with the Washington, formerly known as the Redskins. That 2003 draft, as opposed to taking Troy Polamalu, a hometown guy, so to speak, if you will, close enough to home. As opposed to taking him, they traded back and they took Sammy Davis. In doing so, they acquired extra picks that allowed them in the second round to take Drayton Florence, Terrence Kill, may he rest in peace, Courtney Van Buren in the third, Matt Wilhelm. God, was he a frustrating linebacker. I know we tried to believe in him, Charger fans. Didn't happen. Fifth round, here's where I get hung up. One of my favorite players on the Chargers of all time, Mike Seifus, used to have his jersey. Another one-time Pro Bowler, Hannick Milligan, is a special teamer, though he did nothing as a defender. And then fullback Andrew Pinnock, the 2003 Chargers draft class, I believe is my least favorite. Tell me why I'm wrong, John. And I want to spotlight you too.
Oh, you want me to prove you wrong? I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's wrong to have your own feelings and say that it's your least favorite, but I'm gonna tell you that's not the worst draft class, because I can bring up 2008, where we only had 5 players.
5 picks.
Antoine Cason, Jacob Hester, Marcus Thomas,
The trade up for Jacob Hester, too, by the way, folks.
and then Corey Clark and DeJuan Tribble. Yep.
Hey, Willie Shaw. What's good, brother? Appreciate you being here, man. All right. So for those of you who are just tuning in, I chose the 2003 draft class where the Chargers bypassed taking Troy Polamalu out of USC and ended up with Sammy Davis, Drayton Florence, and Terrence Keel in the first first 2 rounds of that draft with 3 picks. And our guy John Kegley, our new co-host here, he's chosen and selected the 2008 draft class of Antoine Cason, a trade up for Jacob Hester, who was a fullback and special teamer, solid special teamer. But come on, man. Marcus Thomas, whom I'm not sure anybody could remember one play because he didn't play, that he ever had. DeJuan Tribble and Corey Clark, who ended up being a swing tackle that they kept around for a season or 2 extra. And I'm starting to think John might have me on this one.
And at least Jacob Hester won a national championship, right? LSU over Ohio State, the first ever 2-loss national champion.
No, stop it, man. Them LSU cats. I'm so tired of that shit. I'm done.
The first ever 2-loss national champion, and we got a piece of that.
Buster Davis was an LSU Tiger, too. For those of you who are trying to find a team that you don't want to have the Chargers draft from, think about LSU. I'm going to start with that. John, this is where I already know you're going to get me. And you might have got me on this last one, too, which I'm here to take it right on the damn chin. That's what we do here on BoltBlitz Uncut, especially if you're a guy named Booga P, because it's a weird name. You get to go first. Your favorite and best Chargers draft class of all time. In your estimation, go right ahead.
Oh, the favorite. Oh, God. I'm going. You said the rules were I had to go with when we were born, but I'm going to skip that rule because, I don't listen to rules. 1983. 2 Arkansas guys in the first round, and Billy Ray Smith, Gary Anderson, and then the 3rd round, you get Gil Byrd.
I don't know that Chargers fans are ready for this conversation, but there are enough of our fans that are going to be incredibly excited that this class was brought up. Not just that, Mike Green ended up being a solid linebacker down the road for the Falcons too. Tim Spencer was a fun running back to watch. We're talking about that 1983 draft class. 3 first-rounders, by the way. Way to go to the GM back then. Billy Ray Smith out of Arkansas. And then, of course, like he mentioned, Gary Anderson. We've all seen that pirouetting dive, if you will, where he goes from about the 6 and makes it about 5 yards deep into the end zone. That number 40 jersey with those gold lightning bolts and the royal. Oh, God, that was a beautiful play. And then Gil Byrd, arguably the best defensive back for the Chargers of any city of all time. I really, really, really love that draft class. There are a lot of things that I could say about that draft class that enough people are not going to get, but I will say this. Billy Ray Smith was not just an incredible player. He was a part of the flagship station for the Chargers back in San Diego. He was an incredible radio guy. His wife, Kimberly Hunt, she was with several news outlets over the years, and she was always great at providing information. They were close friends of BoltBlitz. Billy Ray met me outside of Gate F one time, and we talked up a little ball, and we did a little exchange for an interview, and I could never thank him enough. And then Kim Hunt has mentioned BoltBlitz back in the day, about 10, 11 years ago or so, several times on her programming. So I think you might have you got me on both of those, except when I look at what I believe is probably my favorite draft class. Many of you would probably think it's the 89 draft class, because that's got Big Mouth Bird in it, and Bird is now our Monday co-host on BoltBlitz Uncut, but it is not that one, even though they also took Marion Butts in the 7th round, whom his head coach at Florida State deemed him as John Dillinger in headgear. That's a pretty cool fucking comparison, if you ask me. But going through all these, and yes, I promised I picked one, but now I'm doubting myself because Kegley put so much pressure on me. My favorite is going to be the 2001 draft class.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick that up, but I'll let you have it. I have more jerseys than you, and I have the tattoo, so you can have the draft class.
I don't have an LT tattoo. You're right. That sucks, and you're right. But they took arguably one of the greatest Chargers of all time in LaDainian Tomlinson at pick 5. They did so after trading out of the first pick, in which they traded with the Atlanta Falcons, whom took Michael Vick, and we kind of know how his story went. Anyway, not a big fan of that guy. For those
and got Tim Dwight, and we got Tim Dwight in the trade as well.
And so I'm so glad you brought. Of course, you're perfect. I knew you would do that.
And he had a kickoff return for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
One of my favorite portions of that entire trade, of course, was getting LT, the extra picks as well. But their hangup was, if we're going to make this trade for you guys to take over the number 1 pick and we'll take your 5, is we want Tim Dwight no matter what. They needed a returner, and not only did they take a great one out of Iowa, he was a guy who made a lot of plays for the Chargers, not just in special teams, but also as a wide receiver. So did I kind of shit on a draft class that had 2 Pro Bowlers in it because of the way it started? Yes. Then did I take a draft class as my favorite, or what I believe is the best, because they had 2 great picks in the beginning? Yeah, I don't know. That's not exactly exemplary choices on my part.
I feel like I could beat it.
Yeah, so give me another one. Let's go.
I'm going to troll the fans right here. You all can hate mail me all you want here. The 2004 Eli Manning draft. Woo! You get Eli Manning, you trade him for Phillip Rivers, and you get Igor Oshansky. You get Nate Kading, the best regular season kicker of all time. Playoffs trash, absolute trash. Like watching Dak Prescott in the playoffs. And then you get Nick Hardwick, Sean Phillips, Michael Turner, Shane Olivier. Like, big draft class. And then the next year, not to mention, you get Sean Merriman, Luis Castillo, Vincent Jackson, Darren Sproles, and then you get the guy who replaced Nick Hardwick in 2009 when he went down with injury, Scott Murkowski, and we still went 13-3 with him. That's 2 years in a row with great draft picks, 04 to 05. And then the next year is Buster Davis. 2 years later. Sorry, 2 years later is Buster Davis.
But still, no, you're good. You're good. The next draft was actually kind of solid, of course, as well. When you start with
the Cromartie draft.
Clipboard Jesus, Tim Dobbins played well. Clary was on the offensive line for a long time, who was a favorite of Thomas Powell. The additional founder of BoltBlitz, by the way, myself and Thomas Powell. Love you, brother. I know I started at first, but I couldn't have built it into what it was without you, clearly. But yeah, that 2007 draft, it was saved by trading up for Eric Weddle, depending on who you ask. But Buster Davis, 3rd round, Anthony Waters. We all tried so hard to love that cat. He just couldn't tackle to save his life. Scott Chandler was a reserve tight end. Legadou Nane was just fun to say. And he made a couple plays, and Rivers made him look great because that's what he did. And then Brandon Seiler, a good goal line linebacker, by the way. He was not
and
horrible.
Could hit on special teams. Won the national championship with Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, my God. That's why he's the historian. Listen, if you guys knew the wealth of knowledge this guy has, my only concern with it was that he started drinking way after I met him. And that concerned me. And clearly he's still fucking sharp as a tack. So we got the right guy doing the right thing here. Let's while we're sifting through this bullshit, what's another one that was really bad? Like really bad. I know I got one.
I'm going to say, I got one here in my notes that I wanted to make sure I circled in all caps in case Booga thought he could beat me at this game. Because you can't. It is the 1998 draft, also known as the Ryan Leaf draft. And who went before Ryan Leaf? Peyton Manning.
Fucking Manning.
And nobody on this anywhere can name the rest of the guys like Michael Ricks, Cedric Harden, Clifford Ivory, John Haskins, Keo Sanford.
Fucking Sanford doesn't even know he played for the Chargers.
Name me a worse draft class, Booga. I will sit back and wait.
No, I don't think I can. What's funny is Pro Football Reference, as I look at that, and I would always be able to mention Michael Ricks, by the way, only because I was so excited for this big, tall wide receiver to be a different weapon for this team than they'd had in quite some time. And then he got so fat, they moved him to tight end. Now he's just listed as tight end everywhere. Nobody remembers he was drafted as a wide receiver. I really liked Michael Ricks. I was really young too. It's funny, and we'll do this on a different show, John, because you're the perfect guest. We'll do it on one of the nights that you co-host. we'll do some of our favorite players that we had as kids that when you grew up, you were like, oof. Like one of my favorites, Steve Hendrickson, fullback, goal line backer, on defense. Like he played some linebacker. He did different shit. He was a two-way player, but when I grew up, I found out he was just really bad at football. We'll save that for another segment, for another show. And I look forward to doing that with you better than I would ever be able to do it. Went to yes, Shaw. There's another Shaw. We got Willie Shaw, David Shaw. By the way, if you hear me just say Shaw, that's David.
I mean,
David.
we could troll him and say he's got a little bit of Raider in him, some Gene Upshaw.
Hey, so my dad had a few Raiders as much as I was raised to hate the Raiders, by the way, literally raised that way. You can like whomever you want. You don't get to like Bo Jackson. You can respect him, but you don't get to like him. You don't get to like anybody on the Raiders. Doesn't matter if it's Howie Long, Lyle Alzado. But I will say Gene Upshaw is a guy that my dad met at the Football Hall of Fame, and it was one of the times I saw him a little bit shy. That doesn't really run in our family. Not when we're adults anyway. When I was a child, I was at the same Hall of Fame. It was the year that the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars were expansion teams. So I met Steve Berline. I met a lot of different players. Kellen Winslow was there. My dad had a 15-minute conversation. And what did host extraordinaire, the guy who brags about everybody's favorite host, like a fucking statue. I stood there frozen. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I didn't shake his hand. I didn't talk. I'd also like to add I was 11. So clearly things have changed a little bit, and I gained a little confidence and have been able to talk here. Oh, David Shaw just said he's Willie and David. You're both, David. We love you. Log in and like and subscribe from as many accounts as you can. We'll take all of them. We will take all of them. What was it? Terrence Shaw was a former draft pick of the Chargers, if I remember right. He was horrible too, right?
Yeah, but I know a nice little piece of draft history that would fit in with the Chargers' cursed history.
Get him.
1961 AFL draft. The Chargers draft Jimmy Johnson. No, not that one. This one is James Earl Johnson, NFL Hall of Famer. 1961 NFL draft. The 49ers also select him. Guess which one he went with? The 49ers.
He went to San Fran, baby. Fuck.
And they missed out. And then if we want to give a shout out to a bad draft class that had a diamond in the rough in the 5th round, it's the same year. It's the same year that James Earl Johnson got put in the Hall of Fame, 1994. How ironic, right? Rodney Harrison in the 5th round.
God. Yeah, they had 2 picks. This is when Bobby Beathard, the former general manager who is in the Hall of Fame, he was always into trading away the first-round draft picks to acquire more picks. He liked his hit ratio more than he was concerned about his miss. But in that 94 draft, yes, they did get our boy and now Hall of Famer Rodney Harrison. But round 2, Ike Davis, a guard who was just a little too big back then to play guard. Vaughn Parker played some tackle for the Chargers. Super Bowl standout as a punt returner or kick returner and punt returner, but especially as a kick returner, Andre Coleman, one of my favorite Chargers of all time. But that doesn't matter when you look at his lack of output on the offense. Willie Clark, Aaron Lang.
I mean, he still had 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown in the 94 season, including, I think he had one against the Seahawks. The same game that we had the 99-yard touchdown to Tony Martin.
The 99-yard. So what stadium did they play in?
The old Seahawks stadium. I can't remember what it's called.
No, they had problems there. They had to play at Husky Stadium because the Seahawks stadium was being built.
Well, I thought they played at Husky Stadium prior because they made the Kingdom
zone where Humphreys throws the ball.
Yeah, I thought they played at Husky Stadium and then they went to Kingdom and then they went to CenturyLink.
They did.
Yeah, and they were still playing there.
Threw the touchdown to Tony Martin, the 99-yarder. That was at Huskies.
Yeah, that's the old stadium. They actually played there, didn't they? Like every game? Like even before that?
I might be all the way off, and you might be right. Forgive me there.
I could be wrong, too.
Well, shit. This is the first on my show. I just admitted I could be wrong, and so did the co-host. This is weird. This is a type of synergy I could get used to. Except for we got right, God damn it. But that being said, I'll never forget that touchdown because the Chargers were wearing the old AFL jerseys too. Almost all it was white. Oh, numbers on the helmet. Come on, man.
With the 75th logo.
You nailed it. I was doing this. I just couldn't get the words out.
Yeah. I have a Seattle jersey with that on there.
You got to put your Twitter handle in there too. But by the way, for you, those of you who are concerned or confused, he is the White Mamba. This guy is, if you're not paying attention, duck for a second. That's an entire Kobe Bryant wall behind him. He's got the tats. He's got the everything. He has NASCAR die casts that were dedicated to to Kobe that the drivers actually, were a part of. This is the White Mamba, and I would love to show him that he can't do that on the basketball court, but we live too far away. Plus, I'd rough him up.
I'll own you.
I would murder you. It wouldn't even be
okay.
fair.
Do we have to do? So if I come and visit, do we have to do a BoltBlitz Uncut live?
Right out here, man. I'll
BoltBlitz Uncut live, and loser has to wear a dress on the next show. Want to do that again?
I'll be naked. I don't give a fuck. I will kill you. I do not. You're so much bigger now, too. By the way, when the last time I saw Kegley, he weighed like 140 pounds. He was still the same height. Now you're a good what? 210?
215.
Yeah, that's a solid boy right there. So maybe I can't push around like I thought I might be able to. But I'll
all we got to do is do this and.
Yeah, stop it, man. I hate tall dudes saying that kind of shit. I don't want to embarrass cats like that. But that being said, I play basketball at the Y. Well, not right this second. Obviously, for those of you who are aware, little hernia surgery about 8 weeks ago now is still keeping me back from playing, but I will be back in there soon when I can get the fuck out of my driveway when the snow fucking stops being a bitch. But everybody at the gym I play at, they're obviously taller than me. They're all younger than me.
Yeah, all those middle school kids are taller than you, obviously.
They've all got a better tan than me too, you motherfucker. Knock it off and let me finish. I'll play anybody in basketball. I don't mind losing at basketball. It's not my forte, but as long as I can shoot 2s and 3s, we're fine, and it's over before it starts. I'm old, short, fat, and white, man. If I can't hit 3s, then I just lose. So you hit 3s. I don't like losing. I don't lose very often. The only time I lose is as a Chargers fan.
No, you'll lose to me.
I can't wait.
You already lost. You already lost in the worst draft class challenge already. So that you're already 0 for 1.
And maybe some of that was designed by the host, knowing how great my co-host is, but we'll have to leave that up for another day. We've been talking for a minute here. This is BoltBlitz Uncut. Thank you for everybody joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and then, of course, the tube of you, the YouTube. We're going to be putting out our schedule here to where we have a set lineup and what we're going to be doing each day of the week. John here, it looks like we're going to try to settle into Thursdays. So I hope that we can kind of lock that down and make that something that's kind of regular. It, again, is going to depend on his military obligations, because that is first and foremost, along with his familial obligations. But there are very few people that I've ever had as a guest or a co-host or any type of whatever that I appreciate and respect more than John Kegley. This is a guy that, even though he weighs 215 now, one of the reasons why I used to weigh $130 is because he would sprint to the games, eating ramen all week, just making sure he could afford to get there. This is a guy who just spent over $1,000 to go see his favorite NASCAR driver. He's one of the most dedicated individuals of any sort that I've ever been around. Super Bowl predictions, and we'll keep this light because we didn't talk about this a lot pre-show. Who do you expect to win and why? And it doesn't need to be some long, drawn-out thing.
Seahawks by 1,000 because they have the better weapons.
He's like, I don't need 1,000. I need 4 seconds. Okay, so they do have the better weapons. They have the better defense. And in my opinion, I love Vrabel. I really do. But I think what Mike McDonald's done there in Seattle is incredibly important. And it's above all standards as far as what I expected. Mike McDaniel and Mike Vrabel, by the way, both interviewed for the Chargers head coaching jobs. Neither one of them got it. It was given to Jim Harbaugh. Any regrets as I put you on the spot?
Any regrets?
Regrets head coaching hire as opposed to hiring a head coach that's now in the Super Bowl in either Mike McDonald or your boy Mike Vrabel, and now they have Jim Harbaugh. Any regrets? Would you have rather had one or the other now that you have hindsight?
I mean, no, because Harbaugh's done a lot with very little. I mean, he's taken a team with no offensive line 2 years in a row to the playoffs. I mean, that's kind of hard to do. And despite not getting offensive line, he improved the second year. So you have what's called a growing team. The Seahawks and the Patriots have a bunch of guys who could leave for contracts after the Super Bowl if they win. If they win, they're going to be like, oh, I got my ring, deuces. I'm getting my $80 million contract. Just like the Ravens. Ravens won the Super Bowl, and Ellerbe and all these guys left to the Dolphins and all these other teams to collect money. Ray Lewis retired now that he got a second ring, go out on top. Joe Flacco got the big contract that ruined their draft cap, or not draft capital, their salary cap. So those two teams might not be the same the next year because people are going to leave for bigger contracts. The Chargers have a bunch of guys that are still trying to grow and don't get to go fight for other contracts unless it's maybe Lad McConkey, but he's still got a couple of years left.
Yeah. Well, the young nucleus of this team, obviously Herbert's locked up. They just re-signed Slater. Of course, as soon as they threw a boatload of money at him and backed up the Brinks truck, he would get injured and miss the entire season. Again, don't get me going. Listen, our former co-host, 80 Simons, he and I have been trying to say that Rashawn Slater would be one of the best guards in NFL history, but nobody wants to hear that. Him being injured again is a problem. You brought it up, so here we'll kind of run with that for a quick minute. Let's say the Chargers enter the 2026 season. Slater gets hurt again. There aren't a lot of outs in that contract. How big of a mistake would it be should he not be the long-term answer at left tackle? You have Joe Alt waiting in the wings to do either side, by the way.
Who also got hurt and could get hurt again. Once you get a season-ending injury, it tends to be a reoccurring thing for most people. So I would already say that the big contract was already something that you would regret because he was already getting little dings and nicks, missing a game here, missing a game there. I liked Rashawn Slater a lot. Before I went to basic training, that was the draft that they got Asante Samuel Jr. and Rashawn Slater. And I left in March. And my last show I got to do on my previous show, I said I expect Slater and Asante Samuel Jr. in the first two picks because I liked them a lot. And when Slater got hurt, that's when I was like, oh yeah, this ain't going to be good anymore. He's down. You got to find the replacement. And they never did, and he gets getting hurt. So it's already a regret once he got the first injury.
You nailed it. I got those two right as well. And then also, who the fuck was the other guy? And I'm going to get torn up for this one. Trey McKitty. In that draft class, I also landed Slater and Asante Samuel Jr., ASJ. And then I also pegged the Chargers. Pegged is probably not the right word, but kind of with Trey McKitty. I'm just saying they pegged themselves, right? No? Easy, guys. And
hey, Boogo, what you like is what you like.
Man, my reputation precedes me. Everybody knows what I like. It's women and beer and the Chargers. It's very simple.
And apparently surgeries and injuries.
Surgeries and injuries. You know, you got to collect something. My hobbies have run out at my old age. I still play Madden for those of you who are concerned, but sure, surgeries are fun to collect. It's one of those things where when my kid tells other kids like, hey, my dad's built different, it's true because I've got weird mesh.
Yeah, because he's built out of Legos, just like Austin Eckler's Achilles.
Oh, don't compare me to that. I cannot fucking stand Austin Eckler. For those of you keeping track at home, cannot fucking stand that guy, but whatever.
Same.
Don't.
Okay, then you know what? Fine, I'll give you one better. You're the Ryan Matthews of this show, made of glass.
I love Ryan Matthews. He just wasn't overly healthy, and then without getting too much into it, let's just say he had a couple injuries off the field that were unreported, like rolling a car that might have happened before a game day, and then he ended up playing anyway and then got hurt that day. Or maybe he was hurt prior to the...
Which was his second car crash. And the first one got reported on the news.
Yeah. Well, so you know a little more than I thought you knew. Yeah, so that kind of happened. I will say this. Ryan was kind enough at one point, Ryan Matthews, to donate an autographed Batman cleat to one of our meetups that was given away accidentally because it was actually given to Ryan Russell, whom I thought he was putting it in the raffle, and he literally, for whatever reason, brought it to the meetup just to show it off. Well, I put it on the table, raffle it off. And he's like, after the fact, like hours later, and he's drunk and he's broken glasses and a beer bottle. And I had to rescue him from getting thrown out.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's the same Ryan. Then he informed me like, hey, that was just supposed to be for me. And I'm just like, I don't have time to deal with that right now. It's in the hands of whomever somebody bought like 30 raffle tickets that day. Might have been Donnie Cummins. I can't remember, but somebody won like 5 or 10 things and started giving them to other people who had bought raffle tickets. But Ryan Matthews, appreciate all that he did on behalf of BoltBlitz and his mom, Trisha, still a friend of the show, at least a Facebook friend. I'm not sure she's a Charger fan anymore, but Ryan Matthews coming up on BoltBlitz Uncut. That is not and was not on my bingo card. I'm kind of glad you brought him up. Give me another disappointing running back. Go, Melvin Gordon.
No, wait. We since we want to bring up Ryan Matthews, what about his disappointing draft class with Donald Butler, Cam Thomas, Jonathan Crompton, Derek Epps, or Dedrick. Sorry, I said it name. Dedrick Epps. The one good guy out of there was Daryl Stuckey, who was a really good special teamer and a really cool dude. He was a really cool dude. Also, I met him so many times off post, and he was cool as shit, man. I used to see him at the Roberto's up the road from the training center. I'd go in there for California burrito. One time he was in there on crutches with his foot messed up, and we were chatting and talking. Cool as shit. I love the dude.
Stuckey was a friend of the show. Cam Thomas wasn't just a friend of the show. Cam, he had this little promo. I almost call it a gimmick. He had this promo going where he had T-shirts made, Cam Smash T-shirts, and it was a whole version. Yeah, well, I sold the fuck out of them, and I had one until a couple years ago. I used it to change the oil in my car, but anyway, that's nobody's business. I know. I feel so bad about it, but anyway. Much love to Cam Thomas. Much love. He's still a Facebook friend. I wish him nothing but the best. It looks like he's thriving, so excited for him. Marcus McNeil, Facebook friend, really excited for everything that he's working on outside of football now that he's retired. There are a lot of those guys, but I want to get back to Stuckey. A liability on defense, but he tried to figure it out. But special teams-wise, one of my favorite special teamers of all time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's either him or Kasim Osgood personally with it when it comes to the kicking side of it. Returning side of it, it's Darren Sproles for me, but the kicking side of it, Stuckey and Osgood, two of the best going down there. And I remember when I'd go to the games, they would do the tunnel of players that you would run through when they said your name. And then when the last player went through, Stuckey would take off his helmet and he would sprint to the other end zone and just start yelling at the fans and hype it up. And then he would stop out of nowhere and pray. Just like all the hype and everything.
I know. God, you got me fired up. The hair standing up everywhere. Sorry. Woof.
Oh, that's because you're a Sasquatch.
I am a weirdly hairy guy with randomly huge feet and hands. It's not normal. I get it.
And then we could also bring up a draft class of a guy, let's say a guy that didn't do much.
Come on.
But he did enough, but not enough to be considered the first round pick. Corey Liuget.
Oh no, you can't go after my boy.
And then Marcus Gilchrist, who got a game-winning interception against the Rams in 2014.
I gotta stop there. I gotta interrupt you right there. So that's one of my favorite moments as a Charger fan. So when Gilchrist, for those of you who don't know, when you're in the press box, when there are 4 minutes left in the game, you're allowed to go down to the field. So I went down onto the field, and I'm standing next to A.G. Spanos, Dean Spanos, all the Spanos fucking fuckers that are there. And then Tom Telesco is there as well. And then Sean Hill throws that pick to Marcus Gilchrist. And who comes running towards me out of nowhere? Because I'm jumping up and down, my press tags flying everywhere. I'm in a vest and a fucking powder blue fucking button up and a tie and all this shit. Out of nowhere, Tom Telesco comes right at me. And I swear to God, we give the biggest high five and he fucking dislocated my wrist. He fucked me up. Little Tom Telesco. I'm not a big guy, but I outweigh Telesco. Fucked my hand up. It was the best injury I've had, and I've had a lot of them.
Oh, I love that play, man. I was on field level. I remember that play to a T. You and I
hung out before and after the game.
Yeah, you had the Rams receiver over here. He comes across the field. and Gilchrist is sitting right here. It's all man coverage, and he has nobody to guard, so he just dropped back into coverage, and the guy was wide open. And Gilchrist just happens to be right where he is, and it's an interception right there. If not for Gilchrist being smart and going, hey, there's no guy for me to cover. Let me drop back in coverage. Rams win that game.
So I will say this, and they tried to make him a returner, and they tried to do a lot of things with Gilchrist. He was a cerebral player for somebody who lacked some of the physical attributes that you would have liked to have seen. But that being said, he supplied me with what was one of my literal favorite moments of all time. And covering the team, the only time that was better was when, oh shit, John, help me out. The Chiefs kicker who missed that field goal.
Ryan Suckup?
Yes.
2013, Ryan Suckup. The Chargers win 27-24 to go to the playoffs.
It's the only time. So you're not allowed to cheer in the press box. I've been in the press box, not quite 2 dozen times, but a little less than that, probably about 18 to 20 at Qualcomm. And everybody, it didn't matter how professional you were. It didn't matter if you were at ESPN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, or BoltBlitz. Everyone went fucking nuts. The whole press box lit up like we were a part of the stadium. It was an incredible, and I mean, it was, I don't think it was Suckup. It's somebody else. Butker. It was Suckup.
It was Ryan Suckup. Don't argue with me.
Shut, don't be a bitch either. But that being said, they're years apart. You're right. What's important to me is that we stay on track, because I could talk about the press box moments for too long, and that's boring to people. Hey, Ryan,
the rest of that draft class, though, because we had Corey Liuget, Marcus Gilchrist. After that, you got Jonas Mouton, former San Diego State wide receiver Vincent Brown, whose dad was cool as shit. I would see him at the games all the time.
Met him several times.
And then former USC Trojan Sharice Wright.
My first interview ever. My first interview.
Who got a pick 6 in a preseason game. That's about all he did with his life.
And then he was
against the Cowboys.
And then he blocked me because he read a parody article that I wrote about Bront Bird starting shit in the locker room. And it literally had parody in the title. The first 3 sentences were, "This is a joke. This is not real. Do not take this seriously." And then Sharice Wright and former Chargers linebacker, who was also horrible at football, Turek Williams, they both blocked me. Sharice Wright, first interview. You heard it here first.
Well, after Sharice Wright, you got a little running back who didn't do much for us from Connecticut, Jordan Todman. And then
what's the linebacker's name? Special teams.
So he's from Missouri, and I liked him because he was good on special teams. Andrew Gashkar could lay a hit on the kickoff team.
When he was full speed, you're damn right he could. Because he didn't care. He was very selfless when it came to special teams, in that he's going to find his lane, and he's going 1,000 miles per hour, and very little regard for his body.
And you bring up Turek Williams. I have that in my notes.
As a horrible draft class and pick.
DJ Fluker, Manti Te'o, Steve Williams, Turek Williams, Brad Sorensen. There's one diamond in the rough in that draft class. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, so since we're on stories, DJ Fluker draft. I'm in New York at Radio City Music Hall, and I'll clear something up. And I've done this, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, but everybody just tuned in and heard. Everybody thinks that, and it's partially true, I was livid at the selection of DJ Fluker. I could not believe it. It did not make sense to me. Too big, too slow, horrible feet. Not exactly a fit for the Chargers offensive line, nor the offensive line coach, nor the scheme that they were running. But the truth behind that is there was a little Cuban gal who flew from Miami and was in my hotel room. So that's actually why I left. I found out that Keenan Allen was drafted by the Chargers in the 3rd round while I was walking down Lost near a Subway in New York. I was ecstatic. I wanted him in the 2nd round. I didn't care about how slow he was. Then I wasn't worried about his injury. He played with his brother as his quarterback, who was horrible. What was his name? Maynard.
Yep.
Brad Maynard or some shit. Maybe that's the old punter. I'm sorry. It was something Maynard.
I was going to say, yeah, you don't remember. It ain't no Maynard, but here's the thing, right? I'm going to open up and say I didn't like the Keenan Allen pick when it first happened because of injury history. And you know me. I hate injuries because once you get some, you get more. And what good are you if you can't be on the field? And then his first couple of years, it was like, oh, shit, look at this. Look at it. And then he got those few little dinky injuries where, like, he misses a game and then the next week he's there, but he's sore. And then he gets the non-contact injury, torn ACL week 1, and the Chargers blow the lead 24-3 against Alex Smith and the Chiefs. It's like, okay, maybe I was right. I don't know.
Didn't help you.
But then at that point, I had grown a love for him. So now I can't sit here and be like, "Yeah, I told you I was right." Because now I'm like, "Oh no, I love that guy."
No, again, I like the pick because I really do think that was his brother's name. I'm so sorry. But that being said, the Keenan pick, it's one thing to take the full-time position as a Phillip Rivers apologist and now Justin Herbert apologist. But I'll tell you, when Keenan put that fucking Raiders hat on, and with him drinking the fucking Slurpee or whatever the fuck that was, that fucked the Chargers fan base up bad. And then what was funny is when he went to Chicago, which he literally just turned down a horrible deal that Ortiz offered him. It was like, no, fuck no. And that may have been a lost year for him, but at least he didn't fucking sell himself out. That was when Charger fans started to bring that shit back to light of him in that Raiders hat. It wasn't good timing. You don't want to see one of your newly drafted players or somebody who's been with the team, whatever, wearing a Raiders hat, drinking a Slurpee. But I love the Keenan Allen pick, despite the fact I was freezing to death and couldn't figure out how the fuck to get to my hotel. You got another draft class or somebody, I can tell. Hit me.
You said what?
I said you got another draft class or something brewing, I can tell. Hit me.
I mean, I have one little guy that we could bring up and talk about that I'm sure you don't want to talk about.
Oh, go ahead. I'm ready for whomever. Let's go.
Larry English. Could have had Clay Matthews.
Don't even.
You could have had Clay Matthews, and you drafted Larry English in the first round.
That was it. So it wasn't quite Buster Davis, but when you take an edge out of Illinois, that everybody's like, wait a damn second. Like, wait, no, he wasn't even Illinois. Where did English go to school? I was thinking of Corey Legent, and I love that pick. Fuck you for doing that to me. You mind fucked me. I don't know how you did that. It was subliminal yet obvious, and I'm the only one who didn't get it. Where the fuck did you play football at, Larry English?
Northwestern.
Northern Illinois. God damn it.
Oh,
Northern Illinois?
I accidentally said Northern Illinois. Sorry, it was Northern Illinois. I said Northwestern by accident. Sorry.
Yeah, no, those are definitely two different schools. Jesus. Fuck
Yeah, I sometimes say the wrong schools, but yeah, it was Northern Illinois. Because I remember when he got drafted, I was like, there's no way that guy played any competition worthy enough to say, you know what, he is definitely first-round linebacker worthy over all the other guys, like Larry Matthews. Oh my God. And then that same draft, they got like Luis Vasquez, who was a really good guard, and then they let him go to the Broncos. And he goes and wins with Peyton Manning.
Super Bowl again. Yeah. And then won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Like, that's one of those things that you go, we let that one go. And there were so many guys that you could have had. You could have got, I think Jeremy Maclin was part of that draft. He came afterward. Speedy wide receiver that Rivers would have loved. Oh, God. Who else came?
Anybody with speed who could catch. They tried Travis Benjamin.
I think LaShawn McCoy was a second-round pick that year.
Oh, he was. Jesus.
Oh, God. I can't remember who else it was. But, like, you had so many picks that you could have done.
That 2009 class should have made our list. So bad. It's so bad.
It should have.
I say in Vasquez, and the fact that he won a Super Bowl, and he didn't get to the Pro Bowl with us, with the Chargers, excuse me, but he did with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, he was a tough one to walk. I don't know. The class before that, I think you kind of nailed it. They only had 5 picks, and they walked away with Kason, Hester, fucking Marcus Thomas, who, again, I thought he was a safety. I didn't even know.
The 98 draft is the worst one.
Oh, wait. Yeah, because of your boy. Leaf
Don't
Rick.
call my boy.
Listen. Hey, did you hear about him and Dr. Chow apparently having a little altercation on Radio Row at the Super Bowl?
Oh, I mean, I haven't heard about that, but they've been going back and forth on Twitter constantly.
They apparently, I saw a little video. Of course, Scott Kaplan, I can't even believe I said his fucking name on this show. I'm so much better than that. But this one guy who still lives in San Diego, who has a show of his own, he reported it as Ryan Leaf accosted, just left it at accosted, Dr. David Chow, as opposed to verbally accosted. Apparently, Ryan Leaf got in his face and ran his mouth and pointed at him because it's the first time since the Twitter exchange that they had seen each other. Ryan Leaf's contention is that you prescribed Junior Seau with so many Ambien within a certain amount of time, he feels that he's responsible for the loss of Junior Seau. That's a conversation for another day. But that being said, those guys have a horrible beef with each other. I'm surprised you didn't see that. It was pretty big. It was all over Twitter today. You've been busy.
Work has been hectic this week, so I haven't been on Twitter much at all. The only time I had to myself was to watch the NASCAR race yesterday, and even then, I was doing 110 going home just so I can get home in time to see the beginning.
Hell yeah! For those of you who are not in the know, Kegley's Chargers allegiance has not shifted strictly to NASCAR, or he wouldn't be here. But Kegley knows more history about the Chargers than I've forgotten, and that's one of the main reasons he's here. But his love for NASCAR is one of the things that I hope everybody will be able to check out. As we start to exit the show, John, I want to kind of lead into that or go with the flow regarding my segue into where can everybody find not just your Charger work, but your takes on NASCAR and the drivers, especially Ross Chastain, whom you admire and respect.
Well, I have one TikTok called the NASCAR Restart Zone where I post my live footage from when I'm at races so you can get a feel of what it's like to be at a game. But other than that, I mostly just posted my own Facebook. Just type in John Kegley and you'll see me. On Twitter, type in John Kegley, and if the @ sounds like it says biggest Charger fan, it's spelled really, really weird. But I was only allowed to have a certain amount of characters. So if it looks like it says biggest Charger fan, that's me. I also have my own storm chasing page, Lightning in a Keg, on Twitter and on TikTok. I get up close to the storms. I drive straight into them. And then
you don't get to stop. I'm not letting you skirt past that real quick. I need to tell you folks that when he says he drives right into them, the videos and the pictures he sends to me of these storms, they're breathtaking. They're awe-inspiring. They're stupid in the fact that he's not young enough to be my son, but I fucking worry the fuck off about him. But he's sending me some of the most iconic, insane lightning pictures you've as a Chargers fan. It's kind of fun. But then I think about the fact that he's right there in the middle of it. But I will say this, for those of you who are concerned, he's got a ride that moves like fucking lightning, so he'll be all right. But yeah, he pushes it too far to the limit. Lightning in a Keg on Facebook, John Kegley on Facebook, and it is biggest Charger fan on Twitter, but I think there's only one G, and there's a couple random lower cases and upper cases, but you don't have to do all that. Just search John Kegley or BoltBlitz Uncut, and you'll be able to find him because everything is linked through there because his @ will be in the description for BoltBlitz Uncut later this evening. Any parting words since you destroyed me on favorite draft, best draft, least favorite draft, and worst draft? You've conquered me on BoltBlitz.
Oh, you thought that was bad? I had one more just in case you had a little trick up your sleeve. 1982 draft.
What? Hold on.
We only had 5 players, and we didn't start drafting until the 7th round, and their second pick in the 8th round was a punter. Paulus Hall,
Yeah.
Maury Buford, Warren Lyles, Andre Young, and Anthony Watson. Mic drop.
That's horrible. So we did so that I could support myself in one way. Number one, let me start over. Kegley destroyed me, and that's all right. I can take it because it's not anything we actually competed at realistically. I will fuck you up at everything else. That being said, there's nobody else that I'd rather compete against because I don't want people who just give in and know they're going to lose anyway. I want everyone to think they're going to win before they come into it. That being said, I did lose on BoltBlitz tonight. I would say that both your favorite draft and least favorite draft were better choices than mine. And adding in 82, the one rule that we had was we had to be around for it. Now, I was around in 82. I was 4. But all I loved were the Chargers. And again, just like I said about my early years until I was about 10 or 11, my favorite players always weren't very good. I just love the Chargers and the lightning bolts and the colors. Kegley told you where to find him. Here's where you can find me. You can find me on all of my social media at Booga Peters, BOOGAPETERS. You can tune into this show on Mondays where we're going to feature our new co-host, Bert Grossman. He'll be there every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And for those of you who are unaware, former Chargers defensive lineman, we have an actual former Charger as one of our co-hosts because that's what we do at BoltBlitz. Listen, we're great at waxing poetic, and I'm great at getting my ass kicked by Kegley at draft shit, apparently. But it's nice to have former Chargers here as a part of what we're doing. If you get bored, don't forget on Wednesdays, you can also tune in for our producer extraordinaire, Taylor Bloom, who is killing it. She's also the host of the Electric Edge podcast. Make sure to catch her there every time she's doing her shows. But she's here with me Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then don't forget on Fridays, we're doing our Fan Perspective Fridays, where we interview you, the fans. Let your voice be heard. We're a show for the fans, by the fans. You know where to find us. Kegley and I are going to argue off air, probably kiss and make up. Maybe not the makeup part. Wait, I'm not sure how that sounded to the people out there. But that being said, this has been BoltBlitz Uncut. I'm going to argue with him for a little bit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace out. We're out.